imagine looking out over just this chaotic, endlessly swirling ocean.
Right, a massive storm.
Exactly. But, you know, instead of water, this ocean is made entirely of data. Millions of searches, clicks, cultural shifts, human desires.
All of it just colliding.
Yeah, colliding and crashing in real time across an entire nation. So how do you actually find the signal in all that noise?
Well, that is the exact question we're trying to answer today.
Right, because today we are doing a deep dive into a live laboratory to find out. Welcome to a very specific real-time observation log of Japanese trend intelligence.
It's a fascinating snapshot.
It really is. And I just want to be super clear right from the jump here. We are not looking at this for like investment advice or trading guidance.
Yeah, absolutely not. No financial advice here.
Definitely not. We are treating this as a strict, objective simulation. We just want to watch how different artificial intelligence survival strategies, how they battle it out in an incredibly volatile environment. We are tracking market heat, pure and simple.
Exactly. And the environment we are observing is the Japanese market, utilizing a highly specific data snapshot from today, June 18th, 2026.
Right.
What we are witnessing right now is essentially a strategic clash. It's this massive battle between two vastly different algorithmic philosophies that are attempting to understand and predict human behavior.
So we basically have two distinct teams operating in this AI market arena. On one side, we have Team Rhino Titans.
The heavyweights.
Yeah, the heavyweights. Their underlying philosophy is called structural stillness. They aren't looking for like quick ripples on the surface. They are aiming for the deep, unmoving equilibrium of the market.
Which is incredibly hard to find.
It really is. And then on the other side, we have Team Falcon. They operate on a completely different philosophy of kinetic propagation.
They want the speed.
Exactly. They are trying to ride the volatile, fast-moving waves of momentum. Okay, let's unpack this with an analogy. Rhino Titans are basically like a deep-sea submersible. Right?
I like that.
Yeah, they are sinking way down past the turbulent surface weather, just looking for the solid bedrock of the ocean floor.
Right, the foundation.
And meanwhile, Falcon Arrows, they are like a surfer. They are sitting right in the impact zone, trying to calculate the physics of a crashing wave so they can perfectly ride it just before it breaks.
That is a perfect way to visualize it, because they really aren't just guessing, they are measuring completely different data inputs.
Right, so before we look at what they are doing today, I want to understand the mechanics. How does an algorithm actually quantify structural stillness versus kinetic propagation? Like, what is the actual math behind the philosophy?
Well, that's the crucial part. When Rhino Titans look for structural stillness, their algorithm is essentially applying these massive, heavy-duty noise-canceling filters.
Okay, noise canceling.
Yeah, it analyzes these 10-year historical data loops. It's looking for behavioral patterns that exhibit almost zero volatility, regardless of whatever external chaos is happening.
So it's looking for what humans do no matter what the news cycle or the daily weather is doing.
Precisely. It looks for the constants. Falcon Arrows, on the other hand, is scanning for velocity. To measure kinetic propagation, their algorithm is looking at the rate of change.
So like sudden spikes in data?
Yes, spikes in search volume, social sentiment breakouts, or even sudden supply chain bottlenecks. They want the kinetic energy of a trend just as it starts to transfer from one sector to another.
Okay, that makes the strategies much more tangible. So let's see how these philosophies actually survive when they are deployed into today's chaotic data streams.
Let's do it.
We are going to look at the new deployment phase first. This is the 0-hour mark, 0.00 UTC.
The starting line.
Right. Each team drops one predictive keyword into the market environment. And this keyword is designed to be evaluated over a strict 10-day window. Rhino went straight for the electronics sector with Raybo.
Which is just the Japanese word for air conditioning.
Right, air conditioning. Now, given that we are looking at late June data, this feels like a massive seasonal play.
It is, and it perfectly illustrates how their algorithm identifies a structural human need. Rhino Titans aren't trying to guess, the next viral TikTok fad.
Right, they don't care about memes.
Exactly. They are betting on the physical necessity of escaping Japan's intense summer humidity. The timing might shift by a few days depending on the arrival of the rainy season, but the structural demand is a mathematical certainty.
Because everyone gets hot, everyone sweats.
Right. And by late June, the algorithm detects a very specific type of query building up. It isn't just people looking to buy new AC units.
Oh, really? What else is it?
It is people searching for cost-saving efficiency settings, or they're downloading troubleshooting manuals because their old unit is making a strange noise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that is deep structural lifestyle data.
It's the bedrock. Like we said, everyone needs to cool down. So what did the surfer team Falcon Arrows decide to drop into the arena today to catch a wave?
Well, they deployed the keyword Nafusa.
Nafusa.
Yes, or naphtha in English, which sits squarely in the industry category.
Wait, let me just stop you right there. We went from people sweating in their living rooms to, like, base industrial chemicals.
I know, it's a huge pivot.
Walk me through that logic. Falcon is trying to predict market trends by looking at naphtha.
Yes, and this is kinetic propagation in its purest form.
Yeah.
Because naphtha is a flammable liquid hydrocarbon. It's distilled from petroleum. It is the absolute foundational feedstock for producing plastics, chemical products, and various petrochemical raw materials.
Right, so it's the base of the base.
Exactly. Falcon Arrows is looking deep into the industrial supply chain. The algorithm is calculating that an uptick in naphtha procurement means factories are gearing up. Raw materials are moving.
So Falcon is trying to catch the kinetic energy before the consumer even knows they want the plastic product?
Yes.
They are tracking the ripple effect at the factory floor level. That is wild.
What's fascinating here is the contrast. They are betting that the velocity of industrial movement today will propagate into broader market heat tomorrow.
But there is a huge risk there, right? A lot can happen between a chemical plant buying naphtha and a consumer eventually buying a plastic fan.
Oh, absolutely. It is a highly volatile bet.
Which perfectly brings us to the next phase of our deep dive. It is one thing to drop a keyword into the arena at hour 0. The logic sounds great in a vacuum. But what actually happens when these predictions are battered by the daily data storm?
That's the real test.
Yeah. Let's transition to the active mission keywords. These are the deployments that have already been out in the harsh trend environment for several days. They are currently trying to hold their trajectory mid-flight.
This is where we see the algorithms actively fighting the noise.
Right. Because think about your own daily habits for a second. You're constantly filtering out noise, right?
All day long.
You ignore certain emails, you scroll past specific headlines, you instinctively focus on what matters to your routine. These active mission keywords are trying to survive that exact human filtering process across millions of people.
It's a gauntlet.
So what are the current standings in the storm? Right now, Team Rhino Titans is tracking Parimu Day or Prime Day.
The massive Amazon sales event.
Right, categorized under lifestyle. And it is currently averaging a very healthy plus 17.5% heat in the simulation.
That is a very strong signal to hold mid-flight.
It really is. And if we look at Team Falcon Arrows, their active mission is Supisu X or SpaceX, categorized under finance. Currently, it is sitting at a plus 5.6% heat.
Quite a bit lower, but still positive.
So what does this all mean? How are these two algorithms interpreting that heat? Why is Prime Day surviving the storm so well?
Because Prime Day represents a massive, predictable structural wave of consumer lifestyle behavior.
How so?
Well, the Rhino algorithm didn't just see the word Amazon. It detected a structural pause in consumer spending.
Oh, interesting. A pause.
Yeah, think about what happens in late June. People delay their normal purchases. The algorithm actually measures a dip in everyday e-commerce, and it recognizes that as potential kinetic energy being stored up for the scheduled July discounts.
So the lack of buying is the signal.
Exactly. It is a structural pillar of the modern retail calendar. So it makes complete sense that it is holding a strong positive 17.5%. The bedrock is stable.
That is brilliant. But then you look at Falcon's active mission with SpaceX at 5.6%. That feels incredibly fragile to me.
It is very fragile.
Right. I mean, one delayed rocket launch or one bad statement from the CEO, and that wave closes out instantly.
You've identified the exact vulnerability of kinetic propagation. SpaceX represents explosive, news-driven financial momentum.
It's all hype and news.
Yeah, when it hits hard. A successful launch sends these massive shockwaves through the tech and finance sectors, generating incredible heat. But you are entirely correct. It relies on external, unpredictable kinetic events to maintain that heat.
It's fighting a constant battle against a news cycle.
Exactly. If a bigger story breaks tomorrow, the momentum just dissipates. It vanishes.
It really is easy for Prime Day to hold its signal mid-flight because it's a known entity. But the real stress test of these algorithms isn't mid-flight.
No, it's the finish line.
Right. It's whether they actually reach their destination intact after 10 full days of unpredictable data. Which brings us to the mission completed phase.
The final return report.
Exactly. This is where predictions clash violently with reality.
The 10-day evaluation window officially closes, and the algorithm is basically forced to face the actual trend outcome. No more projections, just hard data.
Let's look at Falconera's reality check. 10 days ago, they deployed the keyword senpuki, which translates to electric fan, under the electronics category.
A very logical choice.
Yeah, based on everything we discussed about air conditioning, you would think this would be a solid bet for early summer. But the final result for the electric fan ended up at a negative 4.1%.
We really need to make sure we don't just gloss over that number. That negative 4.1% is dramatic.
It sounds like a total miss.
It is tangible evidence of changing rules in the Japanese market. The algorithm's initial logic was totally sound. It's getting hot, people will obviously buy fans. But the environment shifted so rapidly over those 10 days that the existing logic was swallowed whole by new trend variables.
Wait, let me challenge that for a second. In any real-world scenario, a negative 4.1% is just a loss, right? You missed the trend. The kinetic energy dissipated.
On the surface, yes.
So how does an algorithm actually weaponize that failure? What is the mechanism for making that negative number useful?
That is a great pushback, because human instinct is to just discard a loss and move on. But in the context of the AI market arena, we have to adopt a cold, forward-looking research attitude. The algorithm actually uses that negative return like echolocation.
Echolocation, like a bat pinging a cave wall.
Exactly like that. When the Falcon algorithm pings the market with a highly logical prediction like an electric fan, and the signal bounces back negative, it tells the system exactly where the unseen consumer currents have moved.
Oh, I see.
It helps decode the behavioral kinetics, or in Japanese, kodo rikigaku of the market. Every failed signal maps the boundaries of the dark.
So the algorithm realizes that the kinetic energy didn't transfer through the expected channel.
Right.
Like maybe a sudden rainy season depressed the temperature, or maybe a massive marketing push for high-efficiency air conditioners just completely cannibalized the fan market.
Yes. And that negative 4.1% recalibrates the entire predictive model for the next deployment. The failure is simply the cost of mapping unknown territory.
Is learning new rules?
It tells the AI, look, the rules of the Japanese consumer have shifted in this microseason. Adjust the matrix.
I find that framing so fascinating. A loss isn't a failure, it is literally the echo of a changing market rule.
It's pure research data.
But while Falcon's electric fan prediction was hitting a wall and mapping the dark, another unit managed to perfectly capture the heat. Amidst all the noise and changing variables, there was an absolute lighthouse in the dark.
Yes, there was. Team Rhino Titans had their own completed mission report today, and it perfectly validates their search for equilibrium.
It is a massive win. Rhino Titan's completed mission was the keyword Ochugen.
Categorized under lifestyle.
Right. And it translates to mid-year gift giving, the final 10-day trend outcome for Ochugen. An incredible pluck, a 103.0% surge. A literal doubling of market heat.
That is huge. And this is where we have to look at the psychological and economic weight of what the algorithm actually found.
Because Ochugen isn't a marketing gimmick, right?
Yeah.
It isn't a flash sale like Prime Day.
Not at all.
It is a deeply ingrained, centuries-old tradition in Japan. People send gifts, usually high-quality food, drinks, or seasonal items, to superiors, clients, teachers, and relatives, just to show gratitude for their daily support.
It is a structural obligation mixed with a cultural rhythm. And here's the crazy part. The algorithm didn't find this by understanding the human emotion of gratitude.
Right, it doesn't know what gratitude is.
It found it entirely through math. When Rhino's system scanned the historical 10-year data loops, it saw a massive, undeniable anomaly. It saw millions of users behaving in near-perfect lockstep at this exact time every year, completely ignoring whatever was happening in the news cycle or the weather patterns.
Because you don't skip sending your boss or your most important client an Ochugen gift just because it's raining, or because SpaceX launched a rocket.
You absolutely do not.
You do it because it is an immovable pillar of social relations. Rhino Titans found that deep, unmoving structural bedrock and simply anchored themselves to it. They let the massive wave of predictable cultural behavior just wash over them.
And the results of that philosophy are undeniable when you look at the season standings.
Let's hear the numbers.
Because remember, we are observing a continuous competitive analytics simulation here. Right now, Team Rhino Titans, relying on structural stillness, is sitting at a massive plus 2,084.3%.
Over 2,000%. That is staggering when you consider the volatility of the data ocean they are navigating.
It really is. And we connect this to the bigger picture, contrast that with Team Falcon arrows. They are currently sitting at a respectable but vastly lower plus 206.6%.
Wow, the gap is massive.
Rhino's logic acted as a lighthouse. It illuminated the deep, slow-moving cultural layers of the Japanese market. While Falcon was burning computational energy trying to catch the unpredictable supply chain ripples of industrial naphtha, Rhino just quietly calculated that millions of citizens will predictably, structurally, go online to fulfill their cultural obligations in late June.
The submersible absolutely wins the day over the surfer in this snapshot. It really makes you appreciate the sheer scale of what these algorithms are trying to process. They are taking the messy, emotional, deeply cultural reality of millions of people and attempting to distill it into pure trend intelligence.
Which raises an important, almost philosophical question that extends far beyond algorithms and market simulations.
What's that?
We just saw how the behavioral kinetics of an entire nation can shift so drastically in 10 days that a logical prediction about summer fans turns into a negative return.
Right, the shifting rules.
And we saw how a deep-seated cultural obligation like a chujin overpowered everything else. It forces us to ask, how much of our own daily decision-making is actually driven by these unseen, shifting cultural currents rather than the pure, isolated logic we like to believe we use?
Man, that is a lingering thought right there. Are you actually making choices based on logic, or are you just caught in the unseen kinetic propagation of your own culture's deep structural habits?
Well, it is a fascinating lens to view the world through.
It really is. And if you want to keep looking through that lens and follow this ongoing AI market arena simulation, there are a few things you should do right now. First, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss our next observation log.
Highly recommend it.
Second, check the video description below. You will find a link to the Substack. It's amarketarena.substack.com. I really encourage you to register for a Substack subscription.
That's where the real deep data lives.
Exactly. That is where you can access the granular, detailed analytics, the raw data, and the continuous day-by-day observation logs of these unfolding market battles. It is the ultimate dashboard for tracking whether the deep-sea submersible or the surfer will ultimately conquer the data ocean. Keep questioning the currents around you, and we will see you in the next deep dive.